Welcome, welcome, welcome to another Steps to My True Self. Today, the question is magic, mushrooms, ayahuasca, psychedelic drugs, and intoxication. Does it give you a spiritual experience, or are you just journeying into the mind? And what exactly is a spiritual experience? Now let's get this straight, right? Having a spiritual experience is not the same as having a self experience. All right, I'm going to repeat that. Having a spiritual experience is not the same as having a self experience. Spirit is in ignorance. Spirit is the duality beings. They don't know themselves, right? That's why they call the sleeping self a spirit, because it's sleeping and in unawareness and don't know itself. The same like the word God. God is ignorant. God don't know himself. God is 100% ego. Don't call on no God. Don't call on no beings, because all our issue stem from ignorance. Our issue stem from the duality consciousness. Because into the duality consciousness and the light is separated. In their natural state, consciousness and the light is indivisible. They're moving parallel together. In awareness, when consciousness gets its light, consciousness is balanced, consciousness is in harmony. Consciousness is the mind. Know that. Consciousness is the mind. Consciousness is the supreme ego, the mind of the world. The mind that we have is a baby of consciousness. And so we get the sick, tainted consciousness because we get the consciousness with in unawareness. It's sick. But you know why it's sick? Because it does not have access to its light. Its light is hidden from it. This is the reason why we have all this mental sickness. And if you dwell into the mind a lot and you don't know how to still the mind, this is our problem. So the mind issue, this is why it will never be solved by the drugs that they give you, the pharmaceutical. It will never be solved, because the way that you can solve your mind issue, if you learn how to go to stillness. If you awake the sleeping self within you and castrate the ego, you can solve your mind issue, because now you will have access to your light, and the light is what the mind needs to balance it. So the mind is forever going to fall back into a ditch if you do not illuminate yourself. You have to illuminate yourself so that your light can feed into the mind, because your mind and the light is indivisible. And here in the duality, they are separated. And so this is why people are searching for things out there, because they hear about this. So don't encourage others to do ayahuasca and this, because people love to go, they get a trend and they love to go out on these things. And people, when they see that money is making, people just start rising up. Oh, I am a shaman. I am a shaman. Everybody's saying they're a shaman. And they having people coming into these experiences, and what they're doing is calling these beings. It's coming and play around with the people, taking their souls and doing all of these things. Your soul is in bondage. This is the reason for your suffering, and you can't understand why you have a mental issue, because we came into this existence with a mental issue. It's not gonna go away. The only way it's gonna go away is if you wake up the sleeping self. You wake up the sleeping self, this is how your mental issue gets solved. Yeah, and if you learn how to put yourself in stillness, stop thinking so much, stop going into the imagination, because the mind is only memory and imagination. That's it. It does not know anything else. Just memory, imagination. So when you break into the mind, it's like you're breaking the code and you break into the mind. You freak the mind out and you go in there and you go into tap into some memories, and you don't know how to balance if you don't have a proper guide. And I've seen a lot of people coming up and putting a lot of people at risk, because they haven't had the proper training on how to guide people through the mind and to make balance, because you'll get caught up in one of the black holes of the mind and you will not be able to come back out of it. Yeah. And so I'm saying I am the advocate for all souls. And the reason why I'm advocating for all the souls, because the soul does not like when you do this. When you do this, you put the soul in danger, because when the beings come, you freak the mind out. The beings come, they love this, because now they can take possession, right? They take the soul, they take possession of the body, they control your mind, they fill you up with desires and their habits, and they have a whole lot of bad habits, because they have the worst mental sickness. The gods, the ancestors, all of them, they have the worst mental sickness. Yeah, some of them have so much bad habits. They're all the same. The devil, the demons, the satans, the gods, the archangels. The archangels are the self-replicas of the supreme, so they are on a higher order than the gods and and a lot of the other beings. But they all take your light. They take your soul. That's what they want. So why is it that you don't, every other being is coming to take your soul and take your light? Why is it that you don't want to wake up and illuminate yourself? That's all you need to do. Because once you do that, the mind becomes peaceful and becoming balanced. The mind becomes illuminated. Now the mind is in darkness. You need to illuminate it. Yeah. And so this is what needs to be done. You have to get to the root of the issue. Get to the root of the issue, right? Because when you're having these experiences, this is not the experience of the self, right? So this is, yeah, these are what you call the spiritual experience. But spiritual experience is not the same as having a self experience. You cannot take any drugs, any mind enhancing psychedelic drugs or any intoxication and think you're going to get to the self. It freaks the self out. The self escapes the body, because then the body becomes impure for it and the beings then come. So if you want to know the truth about yourself and you want to be on the self journey, I suggest you don't take this. If you're in a control setting with doctors, like how they're doing these studies now, and you have all these mental issues and they're saying that this at a dosage where it is controlled helps you, that's a big difference from all of you going out there, because you know why you're doing it. That purpose is for what you're doing it for. But for all of those who thinking that, oh, I'm going on a spiritual journey. No, you're not going on a spiritual journey. You are breaking in the codes of the mind, and you're freaking the self out, freaking the mind out. And the self does not like it, because now you attract the being. Because let me tell you something, this is what we think. We think that we are so separated from everything and we're in our little world by ourselves. No. The beings, there's a screen. They're just watching everything that you're doing. There is no privacy. Everything that you're doing, everybody is seeing. All the beings are sitting and watching you. They're sitting around you watching you, just waiting for you to do some silly nonsense so that they can come into and get the body. Because they love to play in the body, and they love to be deceitful. Yeah. So let's stop doing that. If you want to know the truth, don't take anything to enhance any psychedelic drugs or no intoxication. You have to wake up your sleeping self. That's what you have to do. And know that depression and mental sickness is at the root of the mind. Always. Always. So you want to be very careful and be mindful of those people out there who are saying they're shamans and they're calling on these beings to come and take your soul, and then they're having all these happenings are going on. Yeah. So I am Primalite, prepared for the world with the identity all set. Daughter of the Self Supreme, Primalite. I am the liberator, and I advocate for all souls. And this is what I'm doing in this video. This video is about me advocating for the souls, because the soul is communicating to you, telling you that it's in bondage and it needs to be liberated. It wants to be boundless and free. And you're not understanding. You're having a misinterpretation of what's happening. And also that this, because of the world is coming to an end, this earth is changing. The earth is no longer an earth. It has returned back to being a sun. And so there's a lot of changes that are going to take place. And you're going to have many people are going to have more mental issues than ever, because the consciousness is going to go crazy, because the duality is ending. You have to end the duality so that you can return back to your truth, to the non-duality. Yes. And so the duality is this craziness that we exist in, and this duality is coming to an end. So know that this world is coming to an end. So get busy waking up that sleeping self, that great I am, castrating the ego, so that you can once more have your light shine, and your light will not be obscure, and so that the mind can be in balance with its light. The mind and the light, indivisible. Consciousness and the light, indivisible. The self and consciousness, indivisible. They have to have the light. Have to have it indivisible with the void between, moving parallel, and this is how they exist in balance and harmony. We must return to balance and harmony so that we can heal and be balanced. Thank you so much. I bow to you in love, in light, and in truth.